Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Mixed Martial Arts channel. We are here today to break down UFC 314. The man, the myth, the fucking legend, Alexander Volkanovski is back. I am going to be ranting and raving for a fucking minute about this one, okay? We're going to start with the main event, make our way down the card, ending with the very first or very final, whatever you want to, whichever way you prefer to say it, prelim of the night. I made a prediction video for this card as well, so we're going to go through my prediction ratio and how well I did on those. If you want to see my reactions live to any of these, please go check out the Fight Companion. You'll be able to see my reactions from Jim Miller and Chase Hooper. Upwards, I watched the rest of the card, so check that out if you want to see my live reactions to a bunch of the cool KOs and the cool decisions that we had at the end of the card as well. But let's jump straight into it with the breakdown of the main event of Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. Okay, so this card was stupidly stacked the whole way through. We knew this was going to be a good card. They were saying it in the whole lead up to it. This is one of the best looking cards of the year. This is the best card of 2025. This has been the best card of 2025 so far. If we want to jump across now, I will bring you guys to the page where we can go over everything and look at the stats and stuff like that. I'd first just like to point out, I went 12-1 on my prediction. So put some respect on my fucking name, okay? I'm beating my chest like I'm fucking Harambe the way I'd be destroying children in this bitch. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but you understand. I'm reverting to Xbox game chat, party chat, shit talking right now, but I'm him, alright? I predicted one fight wrong, and it was Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva, which I was least confident in of the whole card, because I thought Gene Silva would win. I've always said that fighting nerds, I will not pick against them, and I decided to this time around because I love Bryce. Got it wrong. If I had to pick Gene Silva like my gut told me, I would have had a clean fucking sweep. So I will absolutely take that. But let's get straight into it with the main event. Alexander Volkanovski. The man is back. Okay. After the very first round, my initial thought was, that's it. He can lose now. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but I genuinely said live, he can lose now. I don't care. I want him to win this fight, but I got to see 5 minutes of prime Volkanovski back, and he's alive and well. Don't care. I'm happy. I got to see him again. I thought he was gone forever. We got to see him, a glimpse of him again. I'm happy. Rounds 2 and 3 come around, bit close. Volkanovski gets dropped by Diego Lopes once or twice in those rounds as well. Volk is in, so if we want to talk technique real quick, Volk was in so much trouble so many times in this fight, okay? It wasn't the most, like, insane levels of, like, oh my god, he's almost getting finished right now, but more so, he was only just moving out of the way of some of these uppercuts from Diego, just grazing by. And Diego loads up on everything he throws, man. So every uppercut, every check hook, whatever it is, clinching in the collar tie in the clinch and trying to fucking uppercut through there or throw hooks and overhands out on the break of the clinch and stuff. Diego was trying that all night. He does it with everyone. He did it again tonight. Volk only got clipped with like a couple of them. And Diego probably tried those techniques that he's good at dozens of times throughout the whole 25-minute period. So fucking incredible that he didn't get clipped with that stuff more. But he did so well. He was in danger from Diego Lopes for nearly the entire fucking fight, man. There was like one round that he wasn't in any danger. I feel like in round 3, that's when he got dropped at the end, or maybe actually no, that was round 2 that he got dropped at the end of. But there was at least one round. The first round probably is what he did really well in. But there was a couple of close rounds. Round 4 I gave to Diego Lopes, and round I can't remember why now, but watching live it was either 2 or 3. One of them was a close round. I can't recall which one it was, but one of those was. But rounds 1 and 5 were pretty decently clear for Volkanovski. Round 4 went to Diego, and then 2 and 3, I don't think either of them could go to Diego. I gave this fight 4-1 Volk, so I only gave Diego Lopes the 4th round, but Diego did well in the 2nd and 3rd rounds too. Even in the 5th round, Diego Lopes did really well. He actually decided to pour it on right at the end, which I expected. In the last like 90 seconds to a minute, he really started to fucking hunt Volk down, and you know, can't blame him. Like, he's in a 5-round fight, title fight, and he's about to lose. So you would hope that he doesn't Sean Strickland that shit up and just stand around and look like a fucking idiot at the end of the fight. But my man is back. He got dropped once. He dropped Diego a couple times, or not dropped, he rocked Diego a couple of times. Just overall, 5 rounds of masterclassery, okay? He lost a round in there, got hurt sometimes, but did so fucking well, man. Look at these numbers, okay? Takedowns is interesting. Volk actually went for 11 takedowns. He went for a lot of takedowns, and Diego stuffed pretty much every single one. Volk only got on top of him one time. And I think that was in the early rounds. It was in like round 2 or 3 that Volk got him down and kind of had him in like a Yair position. The way that Yair was, Volk was ground and pounding Yair like this. Kind of had Diego in a similar position, but it didn't last that long. But look at the numbers, man. 165 to 71 total strikes, and the significance basically identical. Fucking absurd, the amount of output that Volk had in this one. Now, it was a lot of low kicks and jabs. Obviously, people can talk shit about that if they want, but that's what Volk does. We've known this is what Volk does as well. But Volk decided to get into dick measuring contests multiple times with Diego. Just straight up winging fucking douche type punches. Head dipped all the way down to the side and your whole body weight winging an overhand right at his face. Diego Lopes has a chin made of fucking obsidian because he just ate some of the biggest overhands I've ever seen Volk throw. Not even just biggest overhands that were thrown in this fight. Biggest overhands I've ever seen Volk throw. Diego just ate them on the chin. And there was even a couple of moments I didn't notice it live. I noticed Volk getting hit live, but I wasn't too sure what the actual outcome of the hits were or how clean they were. In some of the replays between the rounds, you saw that Volk got hit really fucking cleanly with some of Diego's shots. There was one uppercut in particular that I can recall that Diego literally, Volk is moving downwards like this. And he's only got one hand there. He's moving downwards like this, so his head's going towards the bottom. And Diego's fist is coming up and clocks him like that. So Volk is moving into the power shot of Diego. It's an uppercut, and Diego lands it square on the jaw. Volk just fucking eats it. Didn't even know that's what hit him during the round, to the point where I didn't understand until they showed the replays. But these numbers are ridiculous, man. For Volk to be doing 165 out of 266, and Diego to do 71 out of 203, kind of doesn't tell the whole story of the fight, because it was a lot closer than those numbers would entail. And a round-by-round basis, maybe it does look a bit closer, but even when they did show the round-by-round score, Volk outstruck Diego in every single round. Even in round 4, where I gave Diego round 4 live, it was like 25 to 17 or something in favor of Volk. So he was way ahead, but still overall got the job done, man. It was so horrifically like nerve-wracking to watch the entire time. And I'm going to say, it took until genuinely the very last 60 seconds. Not even at 60 seconds, I was worried. About 45 to 30 seconds, I started to go, wait, he actually might fucking do this. I don't think Diego has time to knock him out. Hold on. Volk, it's 30 seconds. At this point, I don't care. Run away. Run away. You just beat a masterclass Diego for 24 minutes. What's 30 seconds? Fucking run. I don't care. He didn't run. He did a little bit, but then Diego's like, come on, let's fucking slug in the center. And then he does a little. He obliges Diego in the last 5 seconds, and they actually swung a bit at the end, and Volk landed the last shot on Diego. Just a clean, big right hook that straight on the side of Diego's face, and then the fight got stopped by the referee, but because of the timer running out. So, my man is back. Movsar Evloev is next. Yair Rodriguez, we'll get to you later, okay? But you are not getting a fucking title shot next. Diego Lopes did incredible, proved himself to be a very solid 5-round fighter. That is what I did not expect. Diego Lopes is a very solid 5-round fighter. He can definitely hang with the GOATs for 5 rounds. I'd love to see Diego Lopes versus fucking Arnold Allen 5-rounder. I'd love to see Diego Lopes versus Movsar Evloev 5-rounder. But up next has to be Diego Lopes versus Yair Rodriguez 5 rounds. If you are not aware already, you can go and check out the video that I made a few days ago explaining the whole lore behind why Diego Lopes and Yair Rodriguez have this beef they've had. Altercations with teammates and stuff, people getting jumped and bashed and threatening other teammates and stuff like that, people pulling out of fights, all that kind of stuff has led to them having a bit of a rough past, a rocky past. So that's the fight to make next, if you ask me. I think Yair won, tried to call for a title shot, fucking idiot. Diego lost, respectfully, did so well, so that's okay. I think you do Yair versus Diego now. That's the fight to make. So, Volk, my man, is back. He's probably going to defend against Movzar. I bet he comes back in like 6 months. I bet we could see him back here in like September. He could come back in like August. I hope he doesn't, because August is probably when they'll come to Australia. I hope he doesn't. I'd rather Volk just, even though he is getting old, he's 36 and he broke the fucking 35 curse. He broke the fucking curse. He's the first fighter ever below 155 pounds and below, including lightweight as well, to win a title fight over the age of 35. No one's ever done it. He's 36 and he did it tonight. A vacant title fight, so I guess there's questionability to it. But Diego Lopes is as good of a contender as it gets. So if Ilya just hadn't have come along, this is just a title defense that Volk would have ended up doing. So, it's not like, obviously Ilya isn't here and Ilya beat Volk and left. It's going to be a loose end that we probably never get to tie and actually get a clear conclusion on. I think Ilya probably would beat Volk again after seeing this fight. Volk did really well, but his chin was definitely touchable a lot from Diego Lopes. And it just does worry me with the amount of power that Ilya has. He knocked out fucking Holloway. Come on, we don't need to act like he doesn't have a lot of power. But I think Volk comes back in like 6-7 months. He's probably got at least one more fight in him. He might beat Movzar, and then if he beats Movzar, and then retire. I could definitely see that happening. I doubt he tries to act like he deserves another lightweight shot, or that he goes for a third title defense against like a resurging Arnold Allen or something like that. I don't see it, or a Gene Silva coming up. I don't see that being likely. I think if he sticks around, fights Movzar, he'll retire after that, and that would be an awesome fucking legacy, man. It would be a great fucking story of coming back and beating two really, really fucking high level, really talented, and like unbeaten prospects in the UFC. Diego Lopes has only lost to Movzar, and Movzar's lost to no one. So if you beat both of them in title fights after losing to Ilya and Makhachev, that's fucking an incredible comeback. So my man is back. I enjoyed the shit out of this fight. I hope you guys did too. And yeah, it's a good day to be a Volk fan, man. We all thought it was over. We thought that we were never seeing this motherfucker again. We thought Prime Volk was dead, long gone. We saw a glimpse of him again in UFC 290 when Yair just showed us that he's not actually that. He's kind of bitch made as a fighter sometimes, He's obviously still a talented guy. Went toe-to-toe with Max Holloway and shit like that. But you understand what I mean. Pressure folds. Yeah. He folded against Ortega as well. It happens. But my man's back. Diego Lopes, you will return. Don't worry. And you'll return in fucking great fashion if he fights Yair. I think Diego Lopes puts Yair out in the first round, to be completely honest with you. So, fuck yeah. That's the main event. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Okay, so next up we have the co-main event. Paddy Pimblett versus Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is 2-5 in the UFC now, and Paddy Pimblett is, I think, 7-0 at this point, maybe even 8-0 actually. No, 7. He is probably only 7-0. Ranked number 7 in the world now at lightweight. Isn't that just kind of fucking insane? I'd say Ilya is probably going to get ranked above him when he fights in lightweight, even if he loses whoever he fights against, whether it's Charles or Gaethje, whatever. If Ilya is probably going to get ranked top 5, top 6. I doubt they'll put him below 7 or 8, even though Holloway got ranked at fucking number 9 after beating Gaethje. Whatever. But Paddy the Baddie gets it done. Interesting fight between the two. Okay, first round was kind of close. We saw a little bit of Chandler being his first round self. That faded heavily into the second round and including into the third round as well. Paddy just started to absolutely just fucking destroy Chandler at this point. Chandler got a couple of takedowns. He did decent with the wrestling. That was kind of his one claim to, like, that was what he was clinging on to, was that he could kind of out wrestle Paddy in ways, and he was a bit stronger and able to pick Paddy up. But Paddy was a lot bigger than him. Is a bit more of like a force of, there's a word for it, but he's a bit more of like why can't I think of the term to describe this? Of like a presence. Paddy had more of a presence in there than Chandler did. He's a lot bigger, hits harder, evidently. We saw Chandler was getting fucking clocked by Paddy. A lot of Paddy's like looping hooks that he's like throwing, like running towards Chandler, and then on the end of a run catches him with a hook or something like that. He was clipping Chandler with a lot of that kind of shit. So I'll show you the statistics now. Check that out. 20 strikes to 121 strikes. That's insane, okay? Paddy absolutely mogged Chandler. I believe I gave Chandler the first round, or maybe I said that it was close, but I gave it to Paddy. Rounds 2 and 3 both went to Paddy, though. 3 obviously didn't go to the scorecards, but Paddy was winning it. In that third round, man, Paddy fucking, for lack of a better word, molested Chandler. Took him down to the ground, busted him open big time, had Chandler bleeding profusely. All over his own arm, all over Paddy's, trying to get chokes in, and then he fails it, so he takes his arm back out, and there's just a fucking, looks like he's been bitten by a shark. There's just blood in a big fucking splodgy trail on his arm. Not smeared, like a little bit of blood. Literally a thick, goopy liquid of blood all over his fucking forearms and shit. All over Chandler's arms, pissing off of Chandler's nose and running off of his face. Dude was covered in blood and was spitting blood like there's no tomorrow. I feel like that kind of made it a bit difficult for Paddy to secure that submission as the as the round went on while he was on top of Chandler. I predicted Paddy to get this by round 3 or 4 submission. Evidently, I was wrong. Paddy did get the round 3 finish, so I was happy, totally happy with that. I still got my pick right, and I still got it right at the time of the fight it would happen. But I thought he'd get a submission. He was trying to get a submission really badly for most of this round. It says no submission attempts here. That's not true. He tried to lock in a choke on Chandler like 5 times, maybe more. And he just couldn't quite get it cinched under, or Chandler was just like turning out and not staying in a back to chest position with Paddy. And it just made it too difficult for Paddy to actually get the angle right on that choke. So he kind of decided to give up and just focus on maintaining a full mount position on Chandler and just raining down hammer fists and looping like boom, boom, punches, hooks from the top position while Chandler had the back of his head pointed at Paddy. And then Paddy starts hammer fisting and Chandler rolls over inside of it. And now he's in full mount. Paddy's fully mounted on top of Chandler. They're looking face to face. And Paddy just starts raining down elbows into the guard and fucking through the guard. And I don't give a fuck if both your hands are there. That elbow's coming right through that shit, okay? And that is the beginning of the end. Chandler starts to fucking wiggle around like a worm, trying to do his fucking very best to not get clipped by these. Eventually, he kind of stopped wiggling for a second. Paddy landed like a boom, 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 like 3 elbows back to back, and then the ref just goes, I've fucking seen enough, and steps in, and that's the end of the fight. So, my man, Paddy the fucking Paddy, lad. That's how we get it done. Scousers don't get knocked out, lad. He fucking told us. He tried to tell us. We should have listened all this time. He tried to fucking tell us, okay? Can you imagine showing this fight to someone who had just watched Jared Gordon versus Paddy Pimblett live back in 2022, I think that was? Imagine you just finished watching Jared Gordon, Paddy Pimblett, and you're like, what a robbery, shit contender, guy got fraud checked, didn't get given the loss even though he should have got given the loss, this sucks. Imagine being like, yeah, so that guy goes on to beat Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green, and then this is what happens when he faces Michael Chandler in a 5-round fight. Yeah, no one would have believed you. Nobody would have believed you, because we were all, when the Tony Ferguson fight got booked, that's obviously right after Jared Gordon fight, everybody obviously wanted Tony to win a fight in general, but was like, for the love of God, please let Paddy Pimblett lose to Tony Ferguson. I said that. Most people were saying that. This would be the funniest outcome ever if Tony breaks his win streak and Paddy is the guy who lost to 6-fight losing streak Tony, or 5-fight losing streak Tony. So, didn't happen, obviously. And Paddy is a bit of a god. After the fight, he gets in the fucking camera and starts going, what now, lads? Fucking what now? Nothing. You's a fucking mushrooms, lad. Gang of mushrooms. He called the crowd a gang of mushrooms. And he's just talking his shit. And rightfully so. Because he just mogged Chandler for two and a half rounds. Obviously, first round's a bit close, but second and third round, mogged the shit out of him. Like I just showed you in the numbers. 20 strikes to 121 strikes. Even if that's total strikes, obviously. So a lot of those might be ground and pound. If you want to ignore that, it's 11 to fucking 80. Do you understand how fucking mental that is? That it's 11 to 80. Unheard of. Oh, I missed. Unheard of. Unfathomable. Unless you watched it live and you got to see it happen. If someone just showed you the numbers, you'd be like, get fuck, this is what happened in this fight. What do you mean 20 to 120? Are you cooked? Are you cooked? Do you know who Paddy is? Do you know who Chandler is? They're both good. They're not both that good and bad. Yeah, they are. Chandler is that bad, and Paddy is that good. Chandler was fucking, he's a runner, he's a track starring his way around the fucking octagon like he did against Oliveira. He does it in almost every single fight at this point. Bro can't get into a proper fight without ending up hand along the cage, just fucking sprinting across the fucking octagon trying to get away from someone with his looking behind him like, oh fuck, your cunt's coming after me, fuck. And did it again against Paddy tonight. Paddy's chasing him around the outside of the cage. Same way that Charles got him, where Charles is like threw a looping hook at Chandler while he was like running away and like catches Chandler against the cage and like bonks his head against the cage with his fist. Paddy tried that. He was like chasing him, trying to hit those shots. He just wasn't quite getting them off. And Chandler, I think he did it at least 3 times, doing that, like running away on the cage. At least twice, maybe 3 times. And just eventually gets back to center and goes, all right, now we'll fight. As if something's changed. It's not like he was rocked. This is why I think Chandler's fight IQ is bad. He just doesn't he's not able to make a good decision that quickly. That's what I think it is, because he wasn't that hurt by Paddy when he was doing that running away. Obviously, he's getting teed off on. He's getting clipped by punches, and he's losing that exchange and that flurry of combination or whatever. But it's not like he's been rocked and he's like, oh, fuck, okay, I better fucking turn and run, brother. No. It's like, oh, I'm getting tapped. Oh, God, okay, I'm having to be fucking ridiculous with my defense. All right, let's get the fuck out of here. Zoom, fucking takes off. For what? For what? You just don't have the IQ, the fight IQ, to make the decisions in the moment against the cage or whatever, or during a combination or a fucking brawly exchange. If Michael Chandler can't, if he can't do that, if that's not a viable answer, he runs around the side of the cage because he has to. Because if he can't throw those big punches like that and have it work as a backup plan, he doesn't have the time to think in an exchange like that, and his fight IQ is not good enough to make a decision like that. I'm making this up now. Like this, I'm not making it up. I'm saying this now. This isn't something that I've said before. But after watching tonight, this is the conclusion I've come to about Michael Chandler. I just think that the reason he makes these dumb decisions and runs away is because he doesn't have the fight IQ to be fast enough to make a decision in that moment. And so he thinks, I'm better off just running and not getting stuck in this position here and having to make a bad call and go for some kind of counter or whatever that I didn't properly think about before I did. Which, if he is that dumb, then that's a smart thing to do. The smartest thing a dumb person can do is acknowledge that they're dumb. So I will give him that. I'll give him that. But Paddy the fucking baddie is here. I want to see him against either Gaethje or Oliveira. He called out Oliveira. I think that's an incredibly good fight. Oliveira needs one more fight to get a title shot, to justify a title shot. And I think if he is to go down, fight Paddy, and beat Paddy, you definitely give Oliveira a title shot again. Paddy, if he gets a win over Gaethje or Oliveira, I think those are the only 2 fights to make. Poirier doesn't make sense. He's retiring. And doesn't have to fight down that far. Dan Hooker could, but it's not the most hype-filled fight. And Dan Hooker's got other opponents up in the top 5 that make a bit more sense for him style-wise. So I think Gaethje, and there's also Gamrot. You could do Gamrot versus Paddy. Paddy versus Gamrot's a pretty fucking good fight, but I don't know if they will book that. And he doesn't gain much. I think Gamrot is 6. So Paddy's 7, and I believe Gamrot is 6. Let's really quickly check that. Ready? It would appear that in the lightweight rankings... No, Gamrot's 8. Paddy's above Gamrot now, so that fight doesn't even make sense, yeah. So Max doesn't make sense because he's probably fighting someone else. It wouldn't be a bad fight, but it doesn't make sense for Max. Oliveira makes sense. Arman doesn't make sense. He basically deserves a title shot or a number 1 contender fight that's not against a lower ranked guy. Gaethje makes sense. Gaethje needs a number 1 contender fight, and he also needs to be fighting this area. You know, it's not like he deserves a jump up kind of thing. Holloway deserves a pretty big fight. Maybe not number 1 contender necessarily. Well, not number 1 contender actually. But he's probably fighting Poirier or Hooker or Charles. That's going to be my guess. And Poirier's retiring. That doesn't make sense to give him that fight. And Hooker, you could do Hooker versus Pimblett, but I just don't think it's the fight to make. Just style-wise, career, like where they are in their career-wise, it's not the biggest thing to do. You know, you kind of want to keep these 2 surging prospects both with the capability of getting to the top, rather than just having them kill each other off and then leaving these fucking top 5 the same as we have in the last fucking 5 years with Oliveira, Gaethje, and Poirier always being in the top and never fighting anyone else. So let's get Oliveira and or Gaethje to fight against Paddy, who is now going to be ranked number 7 in the division, and then we'll be fucking good from there. So that's what I reckon. I think Chandler should be fighting. Who did I say Chandler needs to fight? I think Chandler needs to fight an unranked person. To be honest. To be completely fucking honest with you. Like, you know, they were saying to book Mauricio Hufi versus Benil Dariush. I think you do fucking Chandler versus Hufi at this point. You know what I mean? If you're going to give Hufi a top 10 fight instead of a top 15 fight, do Chandler. He's on a fucking 3-fight skid. He doesn't deserve to be given like a Moicano or a Gamrot or a Fiziev. Well, actually, Fiziev just got booked against Ignacio Bahamondes. But yeah, it's weird. It's a weird one to me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, eh? But let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. This was a banger fight. Okay, third fight down. We have Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. Bit of a disappointing one, to be completely honest. It wasn't necessarily a boring fight, but if you just take a look at the numbers, Yair outstruck the shit out of Pitbull, man. Like, it wasn't close. There was a couple of takedown attempts from both guys. Yair got one knockdown on Pitbull. This was pretty much, I predicted Yair to win this 29-28. I think he won 30-27. He won all 3 rounds. Pitbull didn't get a single round. It was a 3-0 shutout. Yair just stayed on the outside, used his distance. He's 5'11". Pitbull is 5'6". He's got shorter reach. Yair's got good reach. Yair's a Taekwondo guy, kickboxer, uses his legs. That's a really hard style to go against if you're shorter than the guy. He just kind of got out fucking done, outboxed, outpointed. And honestly, Yair didn't make it that boring either. It wasn't like Yair stood on the outside and just refused to engage. That happened a bit, but there was plenty of exchanges where Yair is being very active with Pitbull and just like throwing like a 4-kick, 2-punch combination at him. If anything, Pitbull's the guy that wasn't engaging, man. He threw 60 strikes. Yair threw 160. Almost triple. So, is what it is. Not much else to say about that. But coming off that win, Yair did well, did decent. I think you book Yair versus Diego Lopes in a 5-round main event of a fight night. Probably Mexico, if there's a Mexican fight night coming up at some point, or maybe if they're doing a UFC Noche or something like that, do a 5-round co-main event. You could do that, and Yair versus Diego Lopes would be dope as fuck for that. So, yeah, it was a decent fight. So I want to see Yair versus Diego Lopes now. And for Pitbull, fucking unlucky. I don't even know if I care to see him in the UFC again. Like, sure, it'll be cool. Maybe he can redeem himself, but the hype is dead. He killed it tonight. He was so inactive during the fight, barely chasing any kind of aggression. Even though Yair's a big guy, I know, and he's going to stay on the outside. It's hard to get in. It is your job to be the new guy that's going to gain a lot of fans over and win the fans over. He didn't do it, unfortunately. I can only say what I believe is going to be the consensus among the fan base, and that's probably going to be that no one gives a fuck about Pitbull. Sorry. Okay, moving on to the fourth fight down. Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. The only fight on the entire card that I got wrong. Boy, did I get it wrong, but it's the only one I got wrong. So, I predicted Bryce Mitchell would submit Gene Silva in the 2nd or 3rd round. And here we fucking go with Gene Silva submitting Bryce Mitchell. Before I even speak about the fight, I'd like to point something out to you. There is another fighter very similar to Gene Silva from this division as well. You may know who I'm talking about already, but allow me to delve into a bit of detail. This fighter, much like Gene Silva, okay, one of them was, this guy came into the UFC straight up. Gene Silva went on to the Contender Series. We'll ignore that and just act as if it's the same thing. First fight under the UFC banner, okay, gets a decision win over a prospect that ends up coming back to the UFC later on after losing. Okay? Interesting. Both guys had that same thing happen. Then goes on to knock everyone out in a row after that in the next 3 fights or 2 fights or whatever it is. Okay? All knockouts until they face Bryce Mitchell and they submit the submission artist Bryce Mitchell. That's right. I'm talking about Ilya fucking Topuria. He and Gene both had the same start. Kevin Vallejos versus Gene Silva on the Contender Series. Decision win. Gene gets signed. Kevin Vallejos doesn't. Okay? Ilya Topuria versus Yusuf Zalal in Ilya's debut. Ilya beats Zalal. Zalal doesn't get to stick around in the UFC. It's the only decision win that Ilya had at the time. Ilya goes on to beat Damon Jackson. Goes on to beat Jai Herbert. goes on to be one of the guy that I'm forgetting the name of, all by knockout, okay? All by knockout. And then goes to fight Bryce Mitchell, the submission artist, after he's been knocking everyone out. And he submits Bryce Mitchell, the submission artist. He submits him, okay? Shock fucking outcome. But that's what happened. Gene Silva fights Kevin Vallejos in the Contender Series. Gets a decision win. Kevin Vallejos doesn't get into the UFC. Comes back a year or two later. Gets signed to the UFC again. Interesting. Only decision win of Gene Silva's UFC career. Then goes on to knock out 3 people in a row. Charles Jourdain, Melsik Bagdasarian, and Drew Dober. All knocked out in a row. Oh, and Weston Wilson. 4 in a row, actually. I apologize. And then comes up against Bryce Mitchell after he's knocked everyone out and decides to submit the submission artist. I know I'm not crazy. That's fucking insane of a comparison to have. They've had identical runs. Now I beg to fucking God, Volk doesn't fight Gene Silva. Volk, retire now, please. Before Gene Silva gets a top 5 fight, please, for the love of God, retire. Because he'll win, okay? Now, about the fight, I picked Bryce Mitchell by second round or third round submission. However, I'm going to take this as a bit of a win because, one, this is the fight that I was the most, not indifferent about because I did pretty confidently pick Bryce, but I was very much I said in my video, I think, Gene probably wins this, but I really want to pick Bryce, so I'm going to pick Bryce. And that's what it came down to inevitably. I had said on previous reactions to Gene Silva's fights on my Fight Companions and stuff, I said, I ain't picking against the fighting nerds because they win every time. So until a fighting nerd loses, I'm not going to pick against them. I made the mistake of immediately backing away from that in the very first fight that I had, of the very first fighting nerds fight that came up after I made that decision to always bet on them. As soon as Gene Silva comes up, I bet against him. And this is the world telling me I made a fucking mistake, alright? Made a fucking mistake. So from now on, even if I love the other fighter, I will always pick a fighting nerd. Mark my words. I apologize, but I will. The only time I'll consider not doing it is if it's in a title fight. That's when I'll maybe change my mind or change my tune. But until then, I'm just going to have to pick him every time. Even I think Imavov maybe beats Caio Borralho. If they fight, I got to pick Caio because the fighting nerds don't fucking lose. Gene Silva gets Bryce down, submits him in the second round. He was actually kind of doing his thing. I gave the first round, I believe, to... Actually, I don't remember. It was a close round, and I remember saying that it was a close round, but giving it to one guy. Obviously, you have to give it to someone. But I can't remember who I gave it to, but it was a very close round. The striking numbers are pretty close, as you can see. 37 to 29, 36 to 27. Bryce shot 14 takedowns, didn't get any. They got one, but I don't think he really did anything with it. Gene Silva's defense was insane on the takedowns. He would move forward and Bryce would catch him in a takedown going forward, which is perfect. That's the best way to get a takedown. It was when the guy's coming towards you and you dip under and grab his hips and force his momentum back towards you. That's how you destroy a guy's balance and throw them right down to the mat. Bryce did that several times in these takedown attempts. And every time, Gene just fucking said, no, I ain't going down. It was very impressive. Very impressive, but Bryce was actually outstriking Gene at first. That was interesting to see. He was, but it was a close fight. It was closely contested. Bryce, good luck next time. I think you'll come back strong. Gene Silva's a very, very tough guy to be up against. I didn't mean to do that. Gene Silva, however, is a god, and next up, he's ranked now in the featherweight division. I think coming off of a loss is a guy that hits really hard in that division, and I think that you're going to give him Gene Silva next. He also beat Bryce Mitchell recently. It's Josh Emmett. So I want to see Gene Silva versus Josh Emmett next. And Bryce Mitchell probably has to fight another unranked person now because he beat Crone Gracie, but then he just lost to an unranked guy. He's probably still going to be ranked, but he's going to be 14 or 15. So I'd say he's probably going to have to deal with another contender next time. But we'll see how it goes for them. However, that's the one fight I got wrong. Not too mad about it, though. It was a very fun fight. And the fighting nerds are still on top. Fucking plotline unbreakable. Final fight on the main card, we had Dominick Reyes. Back, baby. He's back, baby. I told y'all. I said this shit was going to happen. I was wishy-washy in my prediction video, okay? I said either it's going to be a decision win for Reyes or it's a round 1 KO. I said I think Reyes gets either a round 1 KO, but if he doesn't get the round 1 KO, it goes to a decision. Krylov gets around in there somewhere with some grappling that he manages to either stall out or actually genuinely outwork Reyes in the grappling and get around under his belt, but it would be 29-28 Reyes. I did leave a little possibility though, as you kind of have to when it's Dominick Reyes fight, that Reyes would get a round 1 knockout. And he fucking slumped Krylov out like a fucking psycho. Genuinely, I don't have good words to actually describe and communicate how I felt about this. I was really ecstatic when Paddy won. I was really ecstatic when Volk won. I screamed when Dominick Reyes won. Because I was hoping he'd win. I picked him to win. I wanted him to beat a high-level guy like this because Anthony Smith and Dustin Jacoby aren't the best competition to be winning against. And we need to see Reyes prove himself that he can come back. This was that proof. Krylov's obviously been out for a couple of years. He ain't been knocked out, though. Krylov's been knocked out once in his career, and it was at heavyweight in 2013. It's been 12 fucking years since Krylov got knocked out. And Dominick Reyes just became the first guy to do it. It's never happened at light heavyweight. Mental. This guy's back. I want to see Reyes versus either Ozdemir or maybe a Blachowicz rematch. But I think we get Reyes against a top 5 guy next. Seriously, he just beat number 8 Krylov. He beat Anthony Smith, was like 10 or 11. Then he just beat 8 Krylov. Give this guy like a number, at least number 6 or above, because he's going to be ranked number 8 now. So my man is back. Clean, like everyone online is calling it, everyone's saying like close enough, welcome back, Conor versus Aldo, because Dominick Reyes literally hit him with the fucking like, the same way that Conor hit Aldo, with the fucking, back up, boom, check hook, and he drops down, and then the hammer fists finish it off on the ground. Identical. It's kind of a sequence we're seeing happen a bit more often nowadays, but people still call it the Conor versus Aldo because that's where it's famously from. But look at the strike numbers, dude. It was, the fight only lasted 2.5 minutes. Krylov landed 4 shots. Reyes landed 8. It was a short fucking fight, man. It was very short. And it was over. It was one and done. As soon as Reyes hit Krylov, he dropped dead. The hammer fist didn't finish him off. He was already out. Same as the Aldo Conor knockout. Aldo was already out, stiff when he hit the ground. Except, rather than being stiff like Aldo was, it was more of like a Masvidal Usman kind of thing, where like he's like all floppy and just like falls down and his body just fucking flops around and he lands down on the mat. But then the hammer fist to follow up, got the job done. Referee steps in. Dominick Reyes is back. My man is on a win streak again. He lost to John Jones by bullshit decision. Then, get this, he gets knocked out 3 times in a row. And then guess what? Now he's gotten 3 knockouts in a row. So the boy is back. Now it's time to fucking go on that one more fight win streak. You beat one more guy, and he's gone from 4 losses in a row to 4 wins in a row, and he probably gets a title shot off that. Can you imagine if we get Reyes versus like fucking Yair? Reyes versus Yair rematch or something? That would be mental. Reyes versus Allberg at some point could be a fun fight. Reyes versus Pereira's obviously, like, but I'd be really worried for Reyes in that fight. But Reyes has got power. Reyes could knock Pereira out, you know, it's not impossible. So, don't know. Reyes versus Roundtree, bro? You kidding me? If anything, actually, I think I'd like to see Reyes versus the loser of Roundtree versus Khalil. That's not a bad one, but that's a pretty far away. That they're fighting in June. We might have to wait a long time to get that result to see who he's going to fight next. But regardless, great fight. Really enjoyed this one. Reyes is back. My boy. Fuck yeah. Okay, moving down the card. We're off to the prelims now. It's going to be a little bit quicker. Going to go through the rest of the card a little bit faster, but still going to give you a bit of detail about every single fight. So, we had 50k Ige, Dan Ige, my brother. People are going to talk shit online. They can suck my cock because that was a perfectly fine stoppage. Okay? I love you, Joe Rogan and Daniel Cormier, but it was a perfectly fucking fine stoppage, okay? If you want to look at the fucking Instagram comments, people are going back and forth. Some people saying the worst stoppage I've seen ever, which is insane. I think the commentary made a big mistake by saying that's one of the worst stoppages I've ever seen. Have you seen Magomed Ankalaev versus Iwan Kutalaba 1? Because that's the worst stoppage in UFC history, and we all know it. So why were you going to act like this is a bad stoppage? The guy was down on a single leg, eating hammer fist to the side of the head, not responding. That's a pretty fucking solid reason to stop a fight, rather than the guy's on his feet, responding with strikes, and it's just shaky. And it turned out he was actually faking it as well. So, to return to the fight, I gave Sean Woodson the first round. I think some people gave Dan Ige that round, but I gave Sean Woodson the first round. It was close, but I gave it to Woodson. And then the second round, I gave to Dan Ige. And the third round, I was going to give Dan Ige if he was to win, because he was winning the round, and I feel like he would have definitely continued with that throughout the round. But it was a relatively close fight, I will say that, and Woodson could have come back in that third round. But my prediction was 29-28 Ige. And I believe Ige would have won 29-28 if this round continued, because Woodson probably would not have recovered from that damage well. Even if he got back to his feet, he probably either A, would have got finished shortly after that, or B, would have just survived the end of the fight, wouldn't have been able to finish Ige in that third round, and he wasn't going to win that third round after having that much damage put on him and being put in a compromised position like that. So, Dan Ige rocks him bad on the feet, and Woodson's all of a sudden real shaky and backing up against the cage and shit. And then Ige gets him down he hurts him, and then Woodson shoots like a really, really lazy takedown. Really fucking bad takedown, okay? This is also a part of why I say the stoppage was fine. Dude gets hurt badly and shoots a terrible takedown, okay? Ends up on a single leg, holding onto it like this, like Anthony Smith style, and eats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe more back fists. Not back fists, sorry, hammer fists to the side of the head, and then the referee jumps in and stops the fight. So you cannot be mad at that. You just can't. I'm sorry. Obviously, in the replay, we did see that Woodson had put his hand on the mat to stand back up, but too little too late. It honestly looked like live when Sean Woodson moved his arm off of Ige's leg. Off of Ige's leg to then plant his hand. He was holding onto Ige's leg and he went to plant his hand. It looked like he went like limp. That's how it kind of looked, which maybe the referee saw and thought that was the case. It wasn't, but an understandable mistake to make. However, the boy got it done. Ige, I think that was a perfectly fine stoppage, but I picked him by decision, so even if you weren't going to give him that stoppage, he would have won the decision in my eyes. Good job, Ige, keeping the fucking Xenomorph freak out of the rankings and maintaining your crown as the gatekeeper king. So, let's go, Ige. Okay, gonna run through this one really quickly. I'll be honest with you, I didn't watch this. I'm sorry. If you really do want to hear me give good commentary on this, I'm sorry. I didn't watch this. I heard how it went. I saw the scorecards. I've looked at the statistics. And it's exactly what I predicted. So that was enough for me. To know that I predicted it right and how I predicted it was how it went, even statistics-wise, I was like, yeah, I don't need to watch that. My prediction was that Zhang Weili laid out the game plan on how to beat Xiaonan, and it's grapple fucking her. That's how you beat her. And Virna Jandiroba is known for her ability to fuck via grappling. So she went ahead and did that and took Xiaonan to fucking Pound Town and absolutely dicked her down. 30-27, it was my prediction. Virna Jandiroba, I said she probably just gets on top of her, lays on the whole round. Some people, I believe, were saying that Yan could have won that first round or something like that, but the last two rounds were very dominant. Virna got like 3 minutes of control time in almost every single round, I believe, and she landed a takedown in every single round. It was only one in each round, I believe. She got 3, so she got 3 of 11 takedowns. I think one round was like 1 out of 3. The other one was, second round, was 1 of 1 takedowns. I remember that. And then the third round was like 1 of 5 or something like that. Something along those lines. Maybe it was 1 of 8 and then 1 of 1 and 1 of 5. Something like that. But she got it done. So fair play. Oh, you know what? It was 1 of 5, 1 of 1, 1 of 5. That's what it was. But she got it done. I don't really care. I didn't watch it. Don't care much about her. Xiaonan I kind of liked, but I had a feeling she was going to lose. My prediction was correct, so it is what it is. Moving on to Chase Hooper, or should I say Chase Guna versus Jim Miller. Bro jumped on the mic and said, I did a little too much gooning this camp. My forearms are a bit sore. What the fuck is going on? Live, when I heard this, I said, guys, get ready for Gen Z fighters. Get ready for Gen Z fighters. You think that the nerdy jiu-jitsu millennial kids are like kind of cringy and like, not in a bad way, but like that they've got that nerdy persona, that internet kid kind of persona. Just wait until the 2000 plus kids start to get into the UFC that aren't like the Raul Rosas's and the fucking like, what's another good example? Like a Joshua Van or something. These guys aren't nerdy. These are athlete kids who are very like sporty, outgoing. Chase Hooper is the nerdy, introverted jiu-jitsu kid. And he's a Gen Z kid. And he's probably like somewhat, not an iPad kid, but an internet kid. You know what I mean? I'm an internet kid. So just wait for those motherfuckers to all come, because they're all going to be like this. They're going to be saying dumb brain rot shit on the mic in their interviews. It's going to be kind of cringy. It might be fun. We will see. I've got my fingers crossed that they don't fucking just destroy the credibility of the sport. But Chase Hooper did it in a very lighthearted way. Don't get me wrong. I'm not mad about it at all. It was totally fine. But it reminded me of this, and I thought live, oh god, we're going to see a big fucking change in the attitudes of fighters in the next like 5 years, dude. So anyway, Chase Hooper just outclassed Jim Miller, honestly. I said that Chase would probably have to fight Jim Miller on the feet. I thought that Chase had good grappling and good submission ability, obviously, but he probably wasn't going to be able to grapple Jim Miller properly. He did. He straight up just took Jim down and grapple fucked him all 3 rounds. He outstruck Jim heavily here, as you can see. Obviously, if you look at significant strikes, it's a lot closer because a lot of this is ground and pound shots. But Chase is just on Jim's back, transitioning through different fucking positions. This says 1 submission attempt. If you want to include opening up a submission ability and then trying to transition into that submission, there's probably like 5 submission attempts that Chase went for. There was just only 1 or 2 that he was actually like quite close to getting. But I don't know how they track the submission attempts thing. But dude did really well against a very, very touted prospect. This fight may look boring to some, but if you understand just how good Jim Miller's jiu-jitsu is and just how good Chase Hooper's jiu-jitsu is, you understand how good this fight was. If Jim Miller is in there with anyone else, the way that Chase Hooper was handling Jim Miller does that to any other fighter. If they're grappling. Jim Miller does that to any other fucking unranked lightweight. That's how he treats lightweights. Chase Hooper does that to any other fucking unranked lightweight as well. But the fact that he did it to Jim Miller is very impressive. So, congrats to Chase Hooper. I hope he gets a ranked fight next. I think he deserves it, or at the very least he deserves a ranking adjacent fight, a guy that's going to get him number 15, or that's going to, if he wins that, get him a ranked fight next. I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Lightweight is looking very full of contenders, and I am excited. Chase Hooper, the Charles Oliveira title run continues. Okay, up next, Darren the Damage Elkins versus Julian Erosa. So, Julian, I predicted that he would get it done by a submission. Probably I think I said first round. I don't remember though. Maybe I didn't say a particular round at all. I'm not totally certain on that one. It slipped my mind now. But he did get it done. Oh, I think I said first round submission. Yeah, but he got it done by first round KO. So I'm very happy with that one. At this point on like I said, I only got one prediction wrong, which was Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva. So literally every single other fight, I'm gonna tell you like I got it right. I'm gonna tell you why I got it a little bit wrong, but I mean I got every prediction right. So it's kind of hard to delve into too much kind of hard to talk about it without delving into too much detail, because otherwise I'm just going to be like, yeah, I got that one right, next. Yeah, I got that one right, next. But it's like, I got some things a little bit wrong. I could have been a bit more specific. Sometimes I was specific and got it wrong because I was specific, like this one. But Julian Erosa just fucked up Darren Elkins pretty badly. It wasn't really very close. The striking numbers, as you can see, are pretty far apart. Even the significant strikes are very far apart. Elkins is just too old. Erosa's still pretty young and dangerous and fucking just harsh. He outstruck on the feet Darren Elkins and then ground and pound finished him on the mat. Just is what it is. They're kind of both unks. Darren Elkins is 40. Erosa's 35. So neither guy is really looking to get into a ranked fight and get into, high level fights. But Erosa might maybe look for a ranked fight, but I don't see him ever getting past the top 15, like the top 10. He'll sit in the 11 to 15 area. But congratulations to him. It was very good. I predicted that he would get a submission over Elkins, by Elkins putting himself in just a dumb position and sticking his head in a guillotine or fucking arm triangle or something like that. But Erosa gets the, TKO in the first round. Okay, moving down to the prelims, early prelims of this one. So, Sedriques Dumas versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. I predicted that Michal Oleksiejczuk would get a KO over Sedriques Dumas in the either second or third round. However, it came in the first round. I was pleasantly surprised by that. Good shit from Michal Oleksiejczuk. Very early on in the fight, not a lot to say. Kind of crazy just how many strikes were output in such a short time. Well, in the same time, Sedriques Dumas landed 3 fucking punches. Pretty fucking mental. I would recommend you guys go back and watch this one if you didn't. It was a pretty fun fight. Oleksiejczuk's just strong, man. He's just a warrior guy. He's a fighting nerd now as well. He trains in the Fighting Nerds gym. Didn't know that until recently, but yeah, he's been on a bit of a losing streak recently as well, and now he's back, right? So he lost to Shara Bullet, Kevin Holland, and Michal last year. So, and before that, he lost to Kaiba. He was on a 4-fight losing streak. He beat Chidi Njokuani and then lost 4 in a row. So, good to see him back in the win column. He's a good fighter and I like him. So I want to see him continue to do better. He's Polish as well, you know, supporting Poland. My boys, we always want to see more European, Eastern European fighters, but not Russian Eastern European, but like Central Eastern European fighters getting good wins and building up the base of European fighters that we have. And there's way too many just American and Brazilian and Australian and Chinese fighters in the UFC. It's like, well, it's where everyone's from, basically. So, and Mexico, I guess, is a fair few as well. So I like seeing the horizons broadened, and I'm excited to see what happens next for Oleksiejczuk, considering I thought he was like pretty much done. I thought his career was fucked and he was probably not going to get cut, from the UFC. He may have even been cut from the UFC and possibly just got called back in for a fight, another opportunity, considering he was on a 4-fight losing streak. But Sedriques Dumas, don't really care. Honestly, I've got nothing to say about it. He's a NPC fighter. I don't care what happens next for him. Wish him all the best, but I don't care. Okay, moving down. To be completely dead honest with you guys, I'm going to talk about this for a split second. Do you want to know why? I woke up and watched the first 3 fights in bed. I watched the first 2 very attentively. As the third one came on, I may or may not have fallen back asleep again. So I didn't see this entire fight. I saw most of it, but I was like fighting to keep my eyes awake, my eyes open in that one. So there was like moments where I don't know how much of the round I missed. I just opened my eyes all of a sudden to oh, he's hurt. Oh, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm watching a fight. Fucking hell. And then after this fight, I was like, all right, I got to get the fuck up and go sit up and watch these fights. So I'm going to fall back to sleep again. But it was a good fight, relatively, at least. Mitch Raposo doesn't fight the most entertainingly. Look at this. He shot 19 takedowns, landed 6 of them. I don't think he actually got all that much control time either, even though he had all these takedowns. Let's confirm this. By the way, he's 3-0 in the UFC. That's so bad. He was 9-0 and now he's come in and now he's 3-0. Oh, this was actually a close fight. It was a split decision. One of the judges gave it to Mitch Raposo, but he got outstruck in every round. It's just that Mitch Raposo got a minute of control time in basically every single round. So kind of close, I guess. He got 3 takedowns in this one. That's pretty good. 2 in that one. But look at how much he got outstruck every single round. It's kind of insane. So good job to Mudaerji. Yeah, that's about it. Okay, second last fight. Treason versus Marco Tulio. I was fucking very excited to see this fight. Look at the numbers, by the way. 140 to 17. What a shutout. What a fucking shutout. Let's have a look at the actual numbers of it as well. It's going to be insane to see. I was very happy with this one because I got my prediction perfectly right. Like, I predicted that Marco Tulio would get this one done by round 2 KO, and lo and behold, Marco Tulio knocked out Treason in the second round. So let me see if I can't pull up his Tapology as well and see what it says. I believe it was a ground and pound finish over Treason. Straight right hand. Oh, no. Yeah, he fucked up. He fucked him up with the right hand. Oh, that was nasty. I do remember this now. Yeah, and it was all... Look at these numbers, man. Look at that first round. 77 to 13. That was a fucking rough go. Treason just wasn't in this fight properly. But Marco Tulio gets it done. Brutally drops Treason at the end of the round there. And the referee had seen enough. I think he hit him twice. I think he might have knocked him down. Treason got hurt, got back up. And then after he got clipped a second time and dropped, the ref was like, yeah, I've seen enough, and steps in and says no more. So good job to Marco Tulio. Bro is now 2-0 in the UFC, including an Ihor Potieria win. And he also beat Yusri Belgari in the Contender Series a couple years ago. Last year before he came back. It's a year before last year before he came back again in 2024. He got another finish. This time he got a finish instead of a decision in the first fight. So good on him. And now he's beating Ihor Potieria. Treason I think you give him a bit of a step up. Give him an actual... obviously still outside the rankings, not close to the rankings, but a guy that's not a bit of a can. Treason is a bit of a can. Ihor Potieria, as fun as Ihor is a bit of a can. Check this out. Bro's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in he's 2-6 in his last 8 fights. Kind of insane. Treason Gore is on a 3-fight losing streak, I think. Oh no, he wasn't. He beat Tricoli and Fremd, but he lost to Battle, lost to Brundage, then got these 2 wins. Oh yeah, standing guillotine. Yep, guillotine. You got the double guillotine. I do recall this. And then loses to Tulio. So a bit unfortunate. 2-3 in the UFC. He does have 2 Ultimate Fighter wins, but ultimately they don't count as UFC wins. So it is what it is. But good job, Marco Tulio, bro. Not only is dude 14-1, not only is he on a 10-fight win streak, not only is he getting fucking brutal knockouts, he's dating fucking Norma Dumont. So dude has got the most cheeked up misses of all time, and he's winning fights in the UFC. So how can you not be happy for him? Fucking good job, Marco Tulio. Congratulations. And finally, we had Nora Cornell versus Hayley Cowan. Gonna go across this one in 20 seconds. I predicted Nora Cornell would get this one done by a decision. She didn't. She got it done by a submission in the second round by, I believe it was a rear naked choke. Let me make sure I'm not stupid and misremembering these things. But I believe she got her out of there in the second round by rear naked choke. It took her a little bit to hunt for it, but then she found it, got the hand under the chin, and cinched it in, and there was nothing that Hayley Cowan could do. She did miss weight for this fight. That's going to be noted. 2 pounds over. Not great. Not great, but I picked her just because Hayley Cowan's been out for like 2 years or something like that. Yep, she's been plagued by, 2 years. She's been plagued by injuries many times. Look at this. She's had... so she's meant to fight Eileen Perez in her first UFC fight. Pulled out because she was sick. Meant to fight Vidal. Pulled out. Oh no, Vidal pulled out because of medical issues in that one. Then she loses to Jamie Lynn Horth. She also missed weight in this fight. Oh no, that's Hayley Cowan, Nora Cornell. But Hayley Cowan missed weight in this fight and lost. Then had to pull out of this one because of an injury. Then had to pull out of this one because of an injury. And she was gone for 2 years. Now she's back. Loses again. You're probably getting cut from the UFC. I'm sorry, you're 0-2 in the UFC now. Unfucking fortunate, darling. But yeah, good job to Nora Cornell. She's now 3-1 in the UFC. Only loss is to Cavalcanti, which is not a bad loss to have at all. And it was by split decision. However, I'd fucking appreciate you don't keep missing bantamweight because it's the biggest weight class in the UFC for females. How are you not making weight? Really fucking questionable. Anyway, good job, Nora Cornell. Moving on. And that is going to be the end of this card breakdown, guys. I hope you did enjoy. This was such a fucking fun event. Honestly, to me, this is the best event of the year. We had so many fun finishes, just to name some. Tulio's finish was awesome. Oleksiejczuk's finish was awesome. Julian Erosa, pretty decent. Chase Hooper's performance overall was great. The Ige finish was questionable, but performance-wise, solid. The Krylov versus Reyes finish, fucking solid. Gene Silva submitting Bryce Mitchell. Fucking solid. That was a plus 1,200 odds outcome. Insane. Michael Chandler gets fucked up by Paddy Pimblett. Beautiful. And our boy, Alexander Volkanovski, with the masterclass of the century over Diego Lopes. Diego did well, and I really, really respect his performance, but it's so good to see our boy Volk back. If you want to go see any of my live reactions, guys, check out the Fight Companion. You'll be able to find every single one of my reactions from Jim Miller upwards, so all of the main card, and then Ige versus Woodson and Jim Miller from the prelims. I didn't watch Xiaonan, obviously, as you saw in the video I mentioned, but all those fights you can see my reactions to. I went crazy at the Krylov and Reyes finish. I went crazy at the Gene Silva finish. I went crazy at the Chandler finish, and I went crazy the Pimblett finish, sorry. And I went crazy when Volkanovski won the decision. So lots of very big moments where I destroyed my voice. My throat hurts a lot right now, and I've had to sit here and talk to you guys for another hour. Not that it's a chore to talk to you guys, but you know what I mean. Big strain in my voice right now, so I'm going to go and rest that up for the rest of the night. I hope you guys did enjoy this whole card and my reactions, my breakdowns. 12-1 on picks. Put some respect on my name. Make sure you watch the prediction video for Carlos Prates versus Ian Machado Gary. I'ma go fucking clean sweep on that card, let me tell you. Just kidding. I'm probably never going to be able to replicate a 12-1 ratio again, but we will do our fucking best, and we shall see, right? So, hope you guys did enjoy. Leave a like, comment, tell me what your favorite fight of the card was and why, or if there's something that you disagree with me on. Maybe you want to contest me on the Danny Gay versus Sean Woodson stoppage. Maybe you think that there was some questionable scoring in the Diego versus Volk fight. Perhaps you think that Chase Hooper wasn't entertaining, even though I said he was, or whatever it is that you have to say. Let me know in the comments. Get some discussion going. Come and join me for the live streams, including not just the Fight Companions, but if you throw on your notifications, you'll see when I go live during the week as well, just to chat and discuss about stuff in the lead up to things, talk about press conferences, talk about predictions, talk about fight announcements, yada, yada, yada. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you did enjoy. I'll see you guys all in the next Mixed Martial Arts video. Goodbye.